Hello! I've got a different one for you today because as you can see, I'm standing in front of the official vehicles of the Beverly Hills AYSO. From New York to Miami, Dallas to Los Angeles, Moscow to Abu Dhabi to Liechtenstein, wherever there's a large concentration of wealth, you have a bunch of confused rich dudes unsure of whether or not to buy a Range Rover or a Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon. On this episode of Head to Head, we find out which uber luxury six-figure SUV they should buy. So here we are in the Mercedes-Benz G63 AMG, or as we've affectionately taken to calling it, the Mordwagen, which is German for Murderwagen. Because this thing is so black. How much more black, Spinal Tap might ask? I would say none more black. In fact, our camera guys have been bitching and moaning about it all day, that this car is sucking up every ounce of light there is. Not only because of the matte paint, but because it's just so evil. It is primitive, I gotta point that out. The G-Wagon first showed up in 1979, and I know from reading your comments that this truck is older than the great majority of you. This is a very old school approach to off-roading. Old, however, doesn't make it bad. You don't need a lot of fancy electronics and electrically locking differentials and brake actuated this and off-road modes and adjustable air suspension when you have a ladder frame with a heavy steel body bolted to it and 3 locking differentials with low gears. And when all 3 are locked up, it is unstoppable. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to do this particular head-to-head was because when Justin Bell and I did our little Swedish excursion in the G65, this car's big brother, it appeared as if we got the car stuck in snow. And we did get the car stuck, and it was in snow. But what we actually did was we high-centered it. That means that there was so much snow underneath it, the tires couldn't make contact with anything, hence the truck was stuck and we had to tow it out. That was user error. It had nothing to do with the capability of the truck. And so this is an attempt to rectify that. When you're driving the G63 off-road, you are overcome with the sense of unstoppability, imperiousness, if you will. It just doesn't feel as if anything can slow this truck down. And very, very little can. While it is very good off-road, it's not perfect. A couple of the flaws it has, the turning radius is huge. I'm finding myself in this car more so than the Range Rover having to reverse back up a hill just to make a U-turn. Which, you know, okay, it's slower, but depending on the angle you're at, could actually maybe not end so well. The other thing that we haven't really had a problem with yet, but it's just been scaring me to death, are those side pipes. Now, we've been lucky that the breakaway angle of the truck, we've been missing them, but there's been a few times where I really thought, oh man, we're just gonna smash those side pipes. If you're buying this truck to go off-road, lose the side pipes, get some kind of aftermarket something or other. So we're heading to a pretty good obstacle. It's a real torture test for, I'd say, most off-roaders. I'd also say there's very few production off-roaders that can make it. A lot of products made by Land Rover could make it. A Jeep Cherokee, Grand Cherokee could probably make it. I know a Wrangler could make it for sure. And I'm going to go ahead and say that I know this thing can make it. I'm going to do a few things. So I'm going to turn on the low range gears. So I got to put it in neutral. Okay, low range on. I'm going to request the differentials. So what you do is you hit 1 for the center diff, 2 for the rear diff, 3 for the front diff, and you get these yellow lights. And what these do is they let you know that it's thinking about it. And once you're in drive and start going, they will then hopefully turn into red lights, which means that the differentials have been activated and locked. And now I'm going to drive through this, which is nuts. But you see what a stout off-road machine the G-Wagon is. It's just crazy that a production vehicle can do this sort of thing. And of course, with the twin-turbo V8, I have all the torque in the known universe to get me over whatever obstacle is bothering the front wheels. Compared to the Range Rover, one of the things I really do like about this G, and all Gs, is how narrow the car is. Which, okay, yeah, you don't have as much room, maybe on a long trip it's not as comfortable, but when you're off-road, smaller is actually better. You want a narrower car because you can fit between rocks better. Oh, look at this, just Billy goes right up. The other thing is it has a feeling of solidity, but I can't think of another production vehicle that can compete with it. I mean, maybe a Unimog, but short of that, it's such a great feeling truck. You have such a sense of security, which is probably why all those soccer moms like driving them. You feel like you could drive through a riot after a Lakers playoff win and no one would be able to touch you, let alone flip your car over and light it on fire because you would have already crushed them to death. The G-Wagon really and truly is one of the most capable production vehicles on the face of the earth. Of course, so is the Range Rover.